And so let's take a look here at my board. You see I've only got a couple of terms, really. There, you know, what is there, probably 2,000 words that begin with A that are aviation specific. We've got very few here. But honestly, if we start with the name of the channel, my aviation alphabet soup, aviation, right? It's a word we throw around all the time, but it also has specific meaning. And it is the flying or operating of aircraft. Pretty basic, but a meaning nonetheless. So the flying and operating of aircraft. Well, that's great, but we then see aircraft next on the list. When we say aircraft, we automatically, our mind jumps to an image of an airplane. Well, not always the case. An aircraft does not have to solely mean an airplane. An aircraft is just a device that is used or intended to be used for flight in the air. A lot of things fall under that title, right? So just something that is used or intended to be used for flight in the air. So when we do think about an airplane, more specifically defined, is an engine-driven, now think about that, right? Whether it be prop or jet, right? Turbo. An engine-driven, fixed wing, heavier than air. That's what makes an airplane. Engine-driven, fixed wing, heavier than air. On the other side of that, right, we have a glider. You've all seen a glider before. Gliders are cool. Gliders are one of the few things that I have not participated in. I have a colleague who does glider flying often, and he is consumed with it. Every spare penny he has goes into his hobby, and he absolutely loves it. But gliders, right? They are aircraft as well. They are heavier than air, but you guys know, no engine, right? Heavier than air like an airplane, but no engine. And then of course on the other side, if we talk about things that are lighter than air, right? You could have the airship, you know, like the Goodyear blimp, or a balloon. The airships are engine driven, right? But they are lighter than air that can be steered. Fascinating when you really start thinking about things in terms of what they really are. And then of course, a balloon is lighter than air with no engine, which makes sense, right? And it sustains flight through gas buoyancy or through an airborne heater. I gotta tell you guys, I have recently been very, very interested in balloons. And so I've been reading up on them with my balloon flying handbook. FAA Hotel-8083-11A. I have the hard copy of that book. Like everything we talk about and look at on my videos, that's actually online. That's free for you if you would like to download the PDF, or if you just want to go onto the FAA website and periodically look at it. It is an FAA document. All the books, I have them in actual paperback form. I like to have a book. They don't cost much. You can go online and buy them. You can actually, I think, get them from Amazon as well. But you can get them from the FAA. However you want to disseminate your information, even if you're not from the United States, the FAA is an amazing source of free aviation information. Bottom line, safety. Safety, safety, safety. It's our goal. And in aviation, knowledge is power, and knowledge is safety. And so the FAA is very good about sharing And that's what I want to do too. I want to share as well. I want to help people understand stuff better, do better, and get further in aviation and be safe. It's super important. And the more we know, the safer we'll be. But so yeah, aircraft, you know, it's a lot of different things truly fall under that category. And so then what's next on our list? We see aircraft, and then underneath that is altitude. Right? Altitude is something we talk about every single day in aviation. And it's really a very basic concept. Altitude is the actual height above sea level at which our aircraft is flying. Okay, so our altitude, pretty basic. Actual height above sea level, where my aircraft is flying, whether we are in a glider, or we are in an actual airplane, or we are in a balloon. Okay, my altitude is going to also be measured by my altimeter, the word right next to it. You can see my little letters. I have lots and lots of the wooden letters that are magnetic, but I also have plastic ones, and I have foam ones too. I like to use all of them. Kind of mix it up. Keep you guys guessing. So our altimeter is the device that we use to actually measure our altitude. And it is in our aircraft on our panel. We'll look at that a little bit later. I've already made a video for altimeter. And we will actually, it's a segment that I'm going to call Straight from the Book. A lot of the stuff that we're going to look at in these videos needs to be read to you straight from a reference book. Not only so that we have an exact understanding, or maybe the perfect words that tell us, in this case, about the altimeter, but so that we can also look at more free sources for you to utilize and that are available for you. So altimeter is where we access our altitude information. Okay, so after altimeter, the next thing on the list is azimuth. We can see that's above altimeter. Azimuth is going to be used for you whether you're flying or you're dispatching, or maybe you work at the airport. Normally in reference to center line of the runway, right? When I've got my degrees of heading, the number that dictates what I'm going to fly on approach, right? The degrees right down the center of the runway. My azimuth. By definition, azimuth is the angular measurement in a horizontal plane, and we go in a clockwise direction. So if we think about the compass, right? North is 0, and as we go around, we get 90 degrees east, 180 degrees south, 270 degrees west, and then on back up to what would be the 360th degree, right? So my azimuth. So next, actually, after azimuth, comes aerodynamics, right? Without the aerodynamics, without the aerodynamicists, aviation wouldn't really exist, right? So aerodynamics, they've been working on that forever. I am not going to even pretend that I am super awesome at aerodynamics. I understand what every pilot needs to understand. I like to think I've got a pretty good grip on it. I'm not a scientist. Don't want to misrepresent myself. Aerodynamics are amazing. And the more that I read about them, the better I get at it. Just in terms of, aviation physics. It's magic. right underneath Aerodynamics, we see little tiny A, F, M, and then big giant POH right beside it, right? So my AFM is my airplane flight manual. Every aircraft, no different than your car, has an operator's manual so that you know exactly what your equipment can do and how you should use it. The manual itself telling you how to operate your aircraft, right? So it is a document that is developed by the manufacturer, whether it be, you know, Bombardier, if it's Airbus, it's Boeing, whomever. It will then be approved by your National Aviation Authority. In my case, it's the FAA. You know, Boeing wants to make a plane, they build it, and they submit all the documentation to the FAA. The FAA has to approve it. And then when they do, it becomes the aircraft flight manual. It is going to be specific to the particular make and model airplane by serial number. Absolutely, each one carries its own AFM. It contains, obviously, my operating procedures and all the limitations of the aircraft. What's next on the list? Yeah, so ADF is on our list next. I have in the video with the altimeter, I have a lot more supernumerary information about my ADF, my automatic direction finder. It is also directly associated with something else, and we see on the board our NDB, our non-directional beacon, right? The ADF, my automatic direction finder, is the equipment in the aircraft that then can locate my non-directional beacon on the surface. They work together, right, to give us very basic but very reliable ways to navigate. Homing is what we reference it as. It's going to be low to medium frequency bands that actually are making up what's happening with our equipment and our ability to actually locate the NDB with my ADF. No worries, I told you there's another video that goes along with that.